If you guys are here, in December of 2020, most likely, or you're seeing this in many months from now, and you'll be able to judge from, the benefit of hindsight, whether or not I'm bang on the money with this assessment. But I have had the feeling now for several weeks that where we are right now is very, very similar to where we have been before. It's very similar to an era that was just past this summer. I've been feeling a lot like this 19K level, and I'm multitasking right now, which is why I'm trying to make sure that this thumbnail took. Yes, it did. Finally. Okay, we're in business. And so this $19,000 level has felt to me so much like the $12,000 level. You're seeing this push and pull, these sort of big rejections, these big pushes. There's a lot of a sort of, fizzling, it feels like, of the bullishness in Bitcoin as we've approached the $20,000 mark. And don't, crucify me here for saying that. But it just feels like the momentum has slowed. And that's very normal. That's very normal. Look at the Bitcoin weekly chart. It's absolutely staggering how up and to the right it is. It hasn't looked like this literally since the parabolic blow-off top of 2017. And while we are by no means getting rejected like we did in 2017, the reality is that this feels to me like the 12K boss battle that I was describing that I thought was going to take place at 14K, but it turns out the number is 19K. Again, the trend here is that as these boss battles get fought and as Bitcoin's volume and its liquidity is still sitting at such dramatically inflated levels, we're seeing these amazing runs start to take place in the altcoins. And while we still haven't reached anything close to August mania in DeFi and altcoins, there is a fair possibility that we will have something like that happen here in December, and that may be followed by a pretty stiff and steep rejection down back to some lower levels in Bitcoin. And none of that will be bad. None of that will be unhealthy. None of that will mean anything other than that we would be looking at what I think of as the most opportunistic moment really since I've been in crypto. Because the reality is that bull runs, oftentimes there's a saying that the first third of, the hardest time to trade is the last third of a bear market and the first third of a bull market. And if you're using your noggins, those are the same kind of period, right? You have this transition from bear to bull where you have a period of disdain, a period of disbelief. And that's exactly where we are in crypto, where a lot of people don't know if this bull run is sustainable. A lot of people don't really feel or believe that this is it. However, if you're looking at what happened previously in 2016 in the attempts for Bitcoin to overcome its prior all-time high from 2013, we're really on schedule here. And that a correction to the tune of 30% or more would not be abnormal. Now, it's worth noting that in the previous bull runs, there was not nearly this level of institutional support, and that these dips are potentially being bought up by much bigger money bags than were in the ecosystem during 2017. And maybe we need a little bit more price discovery before we get that 30% correction. However, the reality is that what we're seeing here is the emergence of opportunity. And if we are going to see a stiff correction, one that would actually happen before we break all-time high, I would see that as probably the final moment of ultimate doubt here in crypto land. You want that doubt. You want that uncertainty. I know it's hard to see it that way, but this is why we celebrate the red days. This is why we don't go all in when things are hugely green, because most likely buying the red historically of good projects has been the way to get ahead. And so if we are to encounter another period of disdain, another period of malaise here before we actually, fully break through the all-time high on Bitcoin, that to me would represent an absolutely incredible opportunity, potentially the last great opportunity, the last chance to truly take advantage of this asset class before it becomes common knowledge. And that to me is really incredible. And so seeing the potential emergence here of this asset class and seeing the potential emergence here of a sort of last chance to really hop on at reasonable prices. And by the way, when I say this, I'm talking about more of the major projects, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Now we're seeing the emergence of the Polkadot ecosystem. We're seeing the emergence of, sort of core underlying protocols in insurance, in data, whether that's at the Oracle level, whether it's, data projects like Ocean. I did a God tier coins list this week. Those are coins that I see absolutely performing super well over the course of this bull run. And the thing is that with these projects, they'll reach such dramatically high inflated levels that you won't, in a year or two, you won't be able to get that dramatic, life-changing sort of result. You'll always, in my opinion, see the emergence of new and trending altcoins. And those altcoins will, in my opinion, continue to have this amazing dramatic effect. However, that is as you guys know, if you're following the channel, you really have to get your learning curve going. You have to learn and push yourself and grow in order to truly master the altcoin cycle. It's not a plug and play thing. However, by essentially trading intelligently in the altcoins and stacking your Bitcoin and Ethereum, as I implore you guys to do, not financial advice, just my strategy, that is to me one of the best and most obvious, and I guess most secure paths forward for a lot of people. And so for me, I see this potentially as one of those amazing opportunities to get into these, multi-decade projects, because a multi-decade project in crypto is pretty hard to identify during a bull run. During a bull run, you could see something that looks like it's going up and to the right indefinitely. You would even put Polkadot in this category. As much as I love the Polkadot ecosystem and projects, it's still very unproven. Whereas you look at Ethereum, which we'll talk about in a minute, and you've seen how it's warded off all these attacks. It's warded off all of the ETH killers, if you will, and it continues to embolden and grow stronger every day. And there's even a strain, as we'll talk about in a minute here, of Ethereum maximalism. Ethereum maximalism is a real thing, and it does tend to seep into the investor mindset. And so when you get coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum that have these communities that are just unshakable, I believe what you'll see over time is that they will continue to just grow and emerge and flourish. However, there are other ecosystems that you don't know if they're multi-decade projects. And so when I say it's your last chance, I'm talking about, the big ones, Bitcoin and Ethereum, because I believe that they'll inflate to some pretty dramatic numbers over the course of this bull run. I'm going to check on some questions before diving into the news. Any thoughts on Centaur Finance? Thank you, Marcus Browning. I really don't know anything about Centaur Finance, but thank you for the knock 20. The knock 20. Hi, Elliot. Thank you for your content. What can you say about CVP Power Pool? Keep up with the good work, CD from Down Under. Thank you, Craig Diss, for the $5 super chat. The CVP Power Pool, I haven't looked into either yet. I've had a pretty busy week. I've been stretched a little thin, but I'll try to check in on those a little bit after. I'm going to do a Q&A segment at the end. I just didn't want to miss any questions up at the beginning, because the super chats can sometimes disappear or be a little harder to find. What do you think about AKT? Good call this bull run. Well, this is an Elon Trades coin, and he's been pushing it. It seems like solid. I haven't actually gotten any myself because at the market cap it's at, I think it's already, it's not like a micro. If it was a micro, I would have definitely hopped into AKT, but it's already a sort of a small cap, I guess, or a low cap. I guess, I don't know what we call like a 10 million market cap. But it looks solid. It looks like it has fundamentals under it, and it has a pretty dedicated network. They have like a ton of coins staked. So it's interesting stuff with AKT, but I don't have any myself. Thank you for the super chat, Chris Devant. I appreciate you guys. Wow, the super chats are really rolling in. Nintendo, yes. I don't know anything about Base Protocol. I've been getting spammed on it. A lot of spam on Base Protocol, so I really don't know what to say about that. To be honest, the reality of it is when I get spammed with bots, I usually tend to stay away from those coins because it can tend to be a sign that something's not really right with it. So I don't really know anything. I don't want to FUD unnecessarily, but I've been getting some spam there. Yes, Bridge as well. Shout out to Luke. Wow, another super chat. Thoughts on lead token. I'll get to all these. All right, guys, I'm going to run through some pre-planned content now, and then we'll get to some chats here. So if you did a super chat or whatever, I'll try to get back to it. But we'll get back to all of this Q&A stuff here at the end. Thank you, guys. Almost 1,200 viewers in the house. I'm super flattered that you guys are all spending your time here with me. If we could all collectively go ahead and smash that like button, it would be just phenomenal. It would make me smile. Watch, you'll see a big smile. All right, so hopping into the news. Get to Robonomics later. So this is a big piece of news in my mind, is that there's an ETF for Ethereum that's about to debut on the Toronto Stock Exchange. And one of the biggest issues that we've seen for big investors is getting in and out of ETFs. If you've actually seen ever Anthony Pompliano's channel, the Pomp podcast, he just interviewed Kevin O'Leary, and Kevin O'Leary said, well, if there was an ETF, I'd be buying cryptos, but in my opinion, it's too illiquid to get in and out of the cryptos, which we all know isn't the case, right? You could buy millions of dollars in crypto without really necessarily moving the price, especially if you're buying on like a high volume exchange and you were buying on Bitcoin. You could really get in and out of these coins, especially you could buy OTC deals. So that's not true. However, the reality is that an ETF really opens it up so that you don't need to have any specialized knowledge. You can just go through your normal, equities broker and just go in, right? And you can be highly liquid and get in and out of these assets. And so an ETF is in some senses the holy grail here of what crypto assets have been aspiring to. We know that we've heard about the Bitcoin ETF ad nauseum for the last, 3 years or so, 2.5 years, and that really the Bitcoin ETF was considered this sort of missing piece. And while I do expect a Bitcoin ETF here in the United States in the not too distant future, seeing an Ethereum ETF on the Toronto Stock Exchange, our neighbors to the north here, is really a bullish sign. And one of the interesting things that we'll see here is that there's actually been a strain of Ethereum maximalism that I've noticed. And if you guys are here in the crypto community, you guys are aware of this. There are quite a few people, a segment of people who believe that ETH is really everything and anything. And I don't mean to say that I disagree that ETH has amazing potential and that it is the father of all smart contracts platforms and most likely to retain that title, at least for the next several years, if not indefinitely. Not to say that ETH is without problems. We know that ETH has tons of issues that hopefully will be worked out over time. However, there is a huge dose of, or a huge cohort, if you will, of Ethereum-only investors. And this strain of maximalism in Ethereum investing, to me, is that loyalty that drives, why is Bitcoin Bitcoin? Well, it's starting to have a lot of those traits, those similarities, the decentralization, the community size, the amount of, just diehard support over time, people who simply will not sell, people who are unshakable from their commitment to the platform, to the protocol. And you're seeing this, especially Grayscale is saying that over the course of 2020, we're seeing a new group of investors. Obviously, Grayscale is the main sort of stock exchange product that has been able to access Bitcoin and Ethereum. They have the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. They buy more Bitcoin on an average basis than any other entity. They're a huge, huge player here. And, cause for concern a little bit over centralization there, but let's not go there. They're saying that over the course of 2020, we're seeing a new group of investors who are Ethereum first, and in some cases, Ethereum only. There's a growing conviction around Ethereum as an asset class. And so we know Ethereum is the home of smart contracts, and we know that this is where almost all, mainstream or sort of important developers will go to develop their asset classes, develop their smart contracts. But now we're seeing Ethereum as an asset really start to hold its own as something that people have the same similar long-term bullishness on with, as they do with Bitcoin. And I think that this is a characteristic, without judging this as to whether it's true or false, we can identify that this is a characteristic that has played heavily into Bitcoin's longevity, Bitcoin's success, is the dedication to this asset class, rain or shine, for not just one, cycle, not just 1 month, 1 year, 1 decade, but really as a lifelong sort of commitment that you're seeing. And obviously it's impossible to prove that because it's so young, but I do believe that there are sort of lifelong Bitcoin investors, and to see this same attitude being adopted by Ethereum while seeing things like an Ethereum ETF going on the Toronto Stock Exchange, I think it's very bullish for Ethereum, especially as they're coming into ETH 2.0. Very bullish. And you see that, 99% of DeFi is on Ethereum. And while there is some really amazing stuff happening on Polkadot, which we'll get to in just a second, What we do know for sure is that most of the action, most of the activity is happening on ETH, and that even future Polkadot projects are pretty much operating exclusively on ETH for the time being until Polkadot can truly support their operations, which looks like it's fast emerging. And we'll talk about that right now. But of course, looking at this weekly candle, look at this weekly chart for Bitcoin. I mean, wow, look at that. You see this back in 2017. You see this weekly run up, and you see this. There's pretty much the 2019 weekly run up. You have this 2020 weekly run up starting from July, and then you have the 2017 weekly run up, and it is, there are a few instances where it's so far up and to the right. And so when I talk about the fast emerging sort of last chance here, the reality is that there's only so many weeks in a row that Bitcoin can run like this without having, at the very least, a breather, if not a short reset. And so what I believe is going to happen is a lot similar to what happened right here in July and August, where we got this little parabolic move in Bitcoin, but then we had some stagnation before a little bit of a pullback. And so if we see that same thing play out here, I believe essentially that the alts are about to fly through December. I've been calling for that. They've been flying through November, as I've been calling for. And, at any point, the bottom could kind of fall out, and we could see Bitcoin have a little bit of a breather and a reset. And that, to me, is the big, big opportunity. That is the big last chance. Choo-choo, the train is leaving the station. But what's going to be funny about that, what's going to be kind of hilarious on my end, is how many people are going to turn their back on crypto when that happens. That is just the thing you can count on more than, gravity, than the sky being blue. You can count on the fact that a short turnaround in sentiment in crypto will lead to a mass exodus of, sort of newbies mostly. But that's going to give you the opportunity of people selling their bags for cheap, and you will have the chance to get into projects that maybe you feel like you might have missed the boat on. And so it might not happen, right? This bull run is different. We have institutional order flow on a level that has never happened. And that would mean that maybe the 17% corrections like we saw last week, maybe the 20% corrections don't ever make it to a 30% correction, because those institutional buyers are there to soak up the demand in a way that just wasn't around here during the 2017 bull run. It just wasn't there. And so the fact that we're seeing the maturity of the asset class might mean that the lows are not as low. That might be the case, right? And so in the end, I'm really excited to see what happens this month. I think that we have so much to look forward to, even if we just stay right here. I believe that you're seeing this excitement out of the alts that kind of reminds me of August, and that this might turn into a little bit of a mania. But remember, just like during August, the bottom kind of fell out unceremoniously. And just like during August, one of the biggest movers in this entire market were the Polkadot projects, which we're already seeing starting to wake up again, like I made my episode on 2 days ago. Obviously, talking about conviction, this is MicroStrategy's CEO, Michael Saylor, who just bought another $50 million worth of Bitcoin, right? Another $50.0 million, making his total investment, I think $475 million, which is now worth close to $1 billion. Pretty amazing stuff. And he's buying here at 19,427. So this is a publicly traded, one of the biggest publicly traded companies in the world, buying in huge at 19.4, right? So is it expensive? Does this guy look like a guy who likes to lose on investments? No. His company has a P&L of over $100 million every year in profits. Anyway, so now we also have this news here that Huobi is really looking to become a key player here in the Polkadot ecosystem, and they're launching this sponsorship program, which essentially will come with tons of grants to what are they? Developers, event organizers, content creators, and ambassadors throughout the Polkadot ecosystem. I don't know. Am I an ambassador? Am I a content creator in the Polkadot ecosystem? I think I am. Maybe I should hit them up. But I think this is amazing what they're doing here. And funding is one of the key pieces to watering the grass to grow your ecosystem. We saw the promise with like EOS VC, and we were hoping that they would fund a bunch of really amazing projects to be on EOS back when they had all their billions. But they didn't really do that. They just it was a bunch of like inside deals with VCs, with already established companies. They didn't really seed the ecosystem with all of the new projects. And you see Web3 Foundation really pushing and doing a lot more of that. So I think that this is a really interesting example, and I don't really have a strong opinion on Huobi. I've never really used them. But it seems like they're making a big move here, and that they're actually going to be like auto listing Polkadot projects in what they're calling the Polkadot Ecological Zone, which is a special asset listing section of Huobi. So that's pretty cool. And then we have this, which is, oh gosh, sorry, my screen was a little off. Well, you didn't miss much. Anyway, so we have Congress people speaking up against this anti-stablecoin bill. And this has been an absolute fire fest. I don't know what the right term is here. This has been a ridiculous episode here on crypto Twitter, where essentially some radical sort of left politicians have introduced a bill to essentially make it so that only big banks can issue stablecoins. And what's kind of ironic about this is that the intention of the bill, as they say it is to empower sort of disenfranchised people who have not been prioritized by the legacy financial system. And what's the irony of this is that this bill accomplishes the opposite of what they're trying to achieve, because we know that the access to simply an Ethereum wallet and stablecoins is much more of a banking system than a significant chunk of the world have access to. And so by putting so many regulations on that, emerging markets and unbanked peoples cannot access these types of services, and that only big banks can offer these services, it actually is quite the opposite. So I guess the long and the short of this is that this is not stilted to become law, or not slated to become law anytime soon. However, this is a pretty interesting an episode, right? And this is maybe a little bit of foreshadowing as to the tug of war that's going to start happening. And it reminds me that the most important thing potentially that we can do over the next couple years is to educate our representatives. It's not to just insult them on Twitter. And it's really hard because we are in a political climate where things are so divided that people don't accept the other side's facts, right? There's a fact war. It's no longer that there's one set of facts and two opinions on what to do with those facts. It's that there's two set of facts and then 1,000 opinions, but it's hard to see eye to eye when you don't agree on the facts, right? And so I think that this is hopefully an opportunity, and we had other Congress people essentially speak out against this. So we have some crypto representatives who understand what's going on here, but there needs to be more education, because I believe with enough education here, you're not going to see this draconian regulation. I think that education of our representatives is just one of the best possible outcomes here. And that way we end up with the sort of soft touch, innovation friendly regulation that led to the internet becoming such a profound, essential win for the United States as a country. I'm American, obviously, if you can't tell. And so I feel passionately about innovating from this country and really hoping to grow the blockchain industry here. I want America to be a leader in this industry. And I think that they recognize, or politicians of power do understand how important this industry is, and that these types of laws will most likely work to put America behind. It won't stop the flood of decentralization and blockchain technology. It will just work to disenfranchise and slow Americans down and put us behind in what is the newest sort of, technology race. And so I'm hoping that education, and obviously I don't know what the process is to become a part of these things, but educating these representatives, I think of, is going to be absolutely critical for the next few years. Wow, 1,700 viewers. I don't think I've hit 1,700 viewers since the mania. That was August. This is crazy, guys. If you guys could all do me a favor, smash that like button if you're enjoying the content. And for the new viewers out there, thanks for joining. My name's Elio Trades. I do content every day here, except for yesterday. I needed to take a nap. And if you want to know about the newest and truest opportunities in the space, please subscribe and put that bell on. It's a totally free way to get information about crypto. So let's hop into the altcoin space right here. We're in the Polkadot, the dot ecosystem projects. And what we can see here is over the last 7 days, there's pretty much not a dot project in the red. We're seeing that pretty much all these projects are absolutely smashing it, with Robonomics, of course, at the top. Robonomics is a very interesting project, lots of ties to Gavin Wood. And so that's why you're seeing they have a 2-token model here. This is for like recurring web payments, and this is their sort of more, I guess this is their the token that people are more focused on, the XRT token versus the RWS token. But regardless, I made the comment a couple of days ago that you would probably see a lot of these tokens start to make some moves. And that's kind of what happened here. You know, Mantra DAO made a move, Rio DeFi made a move. And, you know, obviously Kusama and Polkadot, the sort of key main tokens in the network, have been moving. But, you know, what you saw and what I did here is I looked at the all-time highs. And I said, you know, check out the ones that are really down from their all-time high. Like I know there's a few projects that plan to deploy on Edgeware because it'll be as I understand it, the first smart contract compatible project on Polkadot. That might not be true. I haven't, you know, confirmed that's a fact, but that's as I understand how Edgeware's value prop is positioned. And they're down almost 100% from their highs of, I think, I guess this was 2019, but they had a huge run back in August. Kalupu also had a huge run. They're a proof of work project in Polkadot. I'm not co-signing any of these in particular. I'm just noticing the trend that Polkadot projects are starting to, you know, re-enliven. And that really has been the case throughout this week. And I think Polkadot, like DeFi, is an interesting barometer for how hot the altcoin space is. Because the DeFi projects are definitely the tip of the spear of this new bull run. That's why you see oracles, which are so critical for DeFi, absolutely prospering. But then you also are seeing the Polkadot projects, which is the other narrative, which is what is really the scaled version of, you know, smart contracts platforms. And how can Ethereum make this move forward when ETH2 seems to be going at its own pace? That's fine. But Polkadot really brought in the interoperable scaler. And that's kind of what they promise to be. They're built on what's called the substrate framework. You guys are probably familiar with this stuff. But in the end, what we're seeing here is that Polkadot as a narrative becomes extremely hot while we are reaching periods of sort of altcoin euphoria. And then they dump really hard. And so they're very much so hot potatoes of sorts. However, it's very interesting when you see the beginnings of this re-enlivening of Polkadot, as that can be a sign that altcoins in general are going to get very, very hot. We also just checking up here, API3, since we've covered it, right? I know that they had this sort of shambles at the beginning when, they had this issue on MesaDex. And actually, I got some information on it. It was an exploit that somebody planned over several weeks where essentially they ended up earning a high reputation over and over again. They were able to get a very high reputation on MesaDex in anticipation of this token listing, and then they were able to use that reputation that they had built over a long period of time to exploit the API3 launch. And so people were kind of bummed, but hey, there was a lot of people I know that got in around $1, right? They got around $1. Maybe that 30-cent entry wasn't a reality for a lot of people, even though some people got filled there. A lot of it was exploited. But the reality is a lot of people got in through $1 and there was a couple dumps below it. And so, you know, it ripped up to above, what was this, 262, right? 262, it was up at 260 yesterday and it looks pretty strong right now. It looks pretty strong. And so, you know, even the people who got in at $1, right, even after the exploit, I think there's no harm, no foul. And I think the people who exploited the sale are completely sold of their tokens. So it's kind of old history. It's old history, right? And so it was a pretty clever exploit, really interesting, to be honest. Some smart people I was talking to were actually really impressed by it. Not that that's really any consolation, but, you know, API3 has been an absolute ripper. You know, I'm holding mine. I hope this thing is as technologically important as it seems. And if it is, then great, because we need great sort of data providers in blockchain. But this has been a huge success here, up at least 150%, or, you know, almost a 10x from that 0.3, depending on where people got in. Unilend, again, continuing to charge up. Not a lot of news here, but it's just been a very strong coin. And as you guys know, one of my favorites over time. Rev Token also doing really well. They concluded their sale here. I did an episode on them, and they did $1.3 million in sales, and a lot of people were actually disappointed because they didn't get all the equipment they wanted. So I think they're setting up again for another pretty scarce ecosystem for their NFTs, where those NFTs may continue to appreciate in value. And so this is a pretty interesting project here. Remember, I said I was going to keep covering the NFT space. And Rev, I think, in their F1 Delta Time project is showing an interesting way to sort of present NFTs and keep the scarcity and keep people interested in the underlying assets within the ecosystem. And yeah, and so that's about it, guys. Let's talk a little bit about the coins. I know you guys all have burning questions and coins. Let's talk about them. Michael Bonfigli. What are your thoughts on XRP Airdrop? So I think this is the Flare network airdrop. Is that what we're talking about? So my thoughts are, people are wondering whether, I think there was an article here on Cointelegraph saying that, yeah, people are saying, will the Flare network airdrop trigger a rally to $1? And I just want to go ahead and sort of pull that statement apart a little bit. I want to pull that statement apart a little bit because XRP is here at 58 cents. Just call it 60 cents or whatever. So you would need like a 66% rally here on a market cap of $26 billion, daily volume of 6.5 billion. You would essentially need this market cap to go up to what's 2/3 of 26? Like $16 billion or something like that, at like $18 billion. I'm not really sure. My mental math game is a little slow. I haven't done any standardized tests in a while. But you would need essentially the full market cap of Tether to be added to XRP for this to happen. Think about that. You would need almost the market cap of Tether to be added to XRP. And sorry, my big head is blocking this. But you have a $26 billion market cap here in XRP. For it to go up, not quite a 2x, but right, like 2/3, you would need almost the market cap of Tether. I'll say that again. So could it happen? It could totally happen. But is it going to happen because of Flare network? I would highly doubt it. I would highly doubt that it triggers a run to $1. Now, is that what you're asking, Michael? I don't know. But that's what I think is that, to refocus on your question, I think that DeFi is going to find success on all chains, and that there will be some DeFi play taking place on all chains. And that's because DeFi is a fundamental sort of 0 to 1 moment where you're deploying assets to find yield on that chain. And if there's no interoperability, sort of really popular interoperability going on, then they need to build it natively on the chain. And so I believe that all of these networks will put out DeFi, and that all of them will have at least one play maybe that gets some traction, whether that's long-term traction or whether it's a short-term pump and dump. I have no idea. However, Flare seems like this is going to be the sort of first and foremost focus for DeFi on XRP's ledger. That's great. It'll probably have some success. But just like you saw on Tron, we saw like a bunch of Tron DeFi pop off in August. We saw a bunch of EOS DeFi pop off in August, and they were pretty short-lived. Ethereum DeFi has been the longest lasting and the most sustainable. I believe Polkadot will have plenty of DeFi. We're already seeing a lot of Polkadot projects that are currently, those tokens are trading on Ethereum, guys. But I believe that there will be success there. So that's how I feel about it, is that there will be some success on other chains with DeFi, but it's hard to gauge the longevity of that success. All right. Elio's crew on CT is the realist indicators. Thanks. I appreciate you, Carlos. Thank you for the super chat as well. I'm a big fan of the Elio Trades Crypto crew on Crypto Twitter. You guys know what you're doing. And that's another thing. I love when I learn from my community. You guys don't realize how much I learn from you. But I try to stay a student of the game at all times, because as you see, there is so much new happening every day in crypto that you can't go and think you know it all, or else you end up so far behind. And you've seen this. There are people who are big in the Bitcoin community and they think they learned everything they needed to learn. They stopped growing, they stopped evolving, and they missed out on subsequent movements. The same with the Ethereum community, same with different communities. And you see that where people feel like they've reached their peak and they sort of stop taking in the new information. And I don't want to be one of those people. I want to consistently challenge myself to learn, and you guys are a big part of that. Whatever you do, don't buy base. Yeah, I don't know about it. Bondly is a solid project, listing on December 8th. Yep, talk about Bondly quite a bit here. You guys know that. 1881, wow, are we going to hit 2K viewers, 2K concurrence? That would be crazy. If you guys haven't smashed the like button, I would really appreciate it. Okay, tune in when the 16.5K pullback happens. It won't last long. Yeah, I'm hoping that we have some pretty substantial buying energy comes in whenever we get our sort of dagger. But it's inevitable. API3 does seem cool, though. Bondly until I die. Yeah, Bondly's got a great community. I hope I've been a good part of building that. Hello from Poland. How's it going? Hello from Los Angeles. Theta, the next ETH Interesting. Yeah, no, I like Theta. I don't know how it's the next ETH, but they're definitely an interesting sort of video distribution platform. Elio, what's up, brother? What's up, CTC Productions? Let me make sure I'm not missing out on any chats here. I recently discovered the not yet listed Polkadot project Equilibrium. Do you have an opinion about that promising project? Thank you for this $10 super chat. Equilibrium Polkadot. I'll check it out. I rarely do this. I rarely go into coins that people super chat me on because I don't know. People tend to take it the wrong way just because I open up a web page. This is my first time. I mean, I've actually seen a couple people chatting about this, but I don't know the underpinnings of this project, guys. It takes a while too, because the headline can look good, right? The first decentralized interoperable money market. Sounds good. Sounds good. But we need to know about the team. We need to know about how fully developed they are. They're doing Polkadot and EOS, participating of Substrate Builder, and they have a grant, looks like, from the Web3 Foundation. Those are all good signs. So lend, borrow, stake, trade, cool. They're getting EOS and Bitcoin, and now they're developing on Ethereum, Binance, and is that Stellar? And then they have planned Tron, Ripple, and Tezos. There should be that blockchain logo game, like can you name the blockchain? And so bailouts, they provide liquidity in advance to secure loans in the system and to earn additional yield. Is that a bailout? Programmatic interest rate, okay. Built-in cross-chain DEX. I mean, so like this all looks really good, but it's also just like I haven't seen a feature that hasn't been touted by a dozen other projects. And so we're at this phase in DeFi where things get very, the noise is high, the noise is heavy. And so it's hard for me to look at this and everything looks, you know, pretty much the same as a bunch of other stuff I've seen. They have great partners. However, you know, I would just need some more time to look in and just feel like the best way to do something like this would be I would talk with the team. I would talk with the team and I'd say, tell me your secret sauce. Tell me why you're better than, and I could get a sense of how they're approaching solving problems. Because in the end, what you really miss when you go and you just see a bunch of buzzwords and you see a bunch of sort of team slides is you miss the fact that what you're buying is you're buying into a community, you're buying into a group of people, you're buying into a team is when you buy into a token. There's a human element of it that's not conveyed here on the landing page. And a lot of times with a project like this, I'll take calls and I'll see, hey, you know, who are the people behind this and are these people going to accomplish their goals? You know, I did it the other day actually with an insurance project called Bridge Mutual. And I had a call with the founder and they're actually doing some interesting stuff here where they're going to be insuring stable coins. And so this is going to be launching as a microcap and they're going to be on Polkadot in the future, but they're launching on Ethereum first because Polkadot's not ready. And so you guys know I'm bullish on insurance, I'm bullish on UNN, I'm bullish on Ensure, I'm bullish on, I really just blanketed the space, right? And I went through and I covered, and actually Cover Protocol, which I talked about, is up pretty significantly right now. And they're up 43% on the day. They're doing, you know, obviously this was, you know, big Andre Cronje affiliation here, but I mean, look at this chart over the last few months. Obviously they, yeah, I mean, that's pretty awesome chart, right? Pretty awesome chart. But going back, you know, Bridge is essentially, looking at, and looking at their materials, I wasn't so sure. But after I spoke to the team, you know, they're really focused on evolving on a couple of areas that you wouldn't have gotten if you hadn't spoken to the team, which is nobody's really insuring stable coins right now because stable coins actually are one of the biggest part of our ecosystem. And there are stablecoin events that happen, right? There are stablecoin failures. And so insuring against stablecoin failures, that's a big part of DeFi. And then they're also looking at evolving the voting process. Because what happens with the insurance platforms is most of these just have sort of like a yes/no situation where they're like either yes, you like say I have insurance through Nexus Mutual, and I say, hey, I want to file a claim. I want to get paid back for my insurance claim because I lost money in this hack or whatever. And so then it was just a bunch of people that vote yes or no. And then if they all vote yes, then you get your money. If they all vote no, then you don't. And so, the reality is that there's actually an incentive if you think about it. If I'm a big Nexus Mutual holder, there's an incentive to vote to protect the capital of that ecosystem. And so what you really want to do is you want to incentivize people to vote accurately. And so they have this pretty complex way that they're incentivizing people to vote accurately. And I think that it's pretty cool what they're doing to do that. It's pretty complex, but essentially there's a way that they're trying to get people to not only approve the right loans or approve the right insurance policies that were really valid, but also get the right dollar figures for payment for those who have been harmed and get all those things fine-tuned. And so when you actually pull back the hood, I believe insurance is one of the most critical parts of bringing big money into the industry, because the big whales, they don't want to be waking up with cold sweats at 3 a.m. wondering if a smart contract got hacked. That's ridiculous. They need insurance, but they also need a way to know that insurance is going to be respected and actually do its job. And so I think it's a pretty interesting value prop. And again, it goes back to what I was talking about here with equilibrium, which is I need to talk with the team in order to understand how they're solving problems and what makes it special. Whereas before I talked with the bridge team, I wasn't as excited about it, but after talking with them, I think that they have a unique approach to insurance, which made me like their project. And yeah, you can check them out. I think they'll be launching at under a $1 million market cap. So I think they'll be launching as a micro cap as well, Bridge. So yeah, you could check them out, Bridge Mutual, here on Twitter, over on the Twitter. By the way, guys, if you aren't following me on Twitter, just hit 26K followers. Pretty crazy how fast this community is growing over here on Twitter. I really enjoy Twitter. It's a different place to share different kinds of content, and I hope you guys follow me there. It's just more interactions, more chance for me to sort of share my approach to the market. All right, we got one more super chat. Thoughts on React Finance RFI? I actually don't know much about it. I've seen some people shilling it on Twitter. And I haven't had a chance to look deeply into it, but I appreciate your super chat, David Wilfred. $5 super chat from Mike Picone. Thanks for all the info here, bro. Much appreciated. Thank you, guys. I hope I didn't miss any super chats. I really hate to miss when people send me money on the super chat, just to at least say thanks, guys. And now I want to get into I don't want it all to be super chats, so let's get in here. Why are you spending 10 minutes answering one question? You've just conned me out of my money, scammer. What? Whoa. Whoa. Clark Jones says, have you looked into Scale SKL at all? Yeah, I haven't looked into Scale too deeply. Not in a while. I think I did it months ago. Guys, there's so many projects now. This is the top 200 though. Elastic Blockchain Network, Powerful Build, Ethereum DApps. Okay. Yeah, I just need to know what's being built on it. But it looks like, one of these sort of super high throughput, things that we see all the time. There's a lot of competitors in that space, but I need to know what their actual, adoption is. Bondley loves you. I love Bondley. Shout out to Bondley. Click the like button. Appreciate you. Smash the like button. What are my thoughts on Orion Protocol? It's an interesting project. I haven't checked in a few months, but it's an interesting project for sure. Elrond finally making a move, huh? I said it before, Elrond just pumped almost too much for its own good. It was an absolute moonshot back in the August days. Thank you for your response to my comment. I'm happy to respond. Sometimes, you guys, you don't understand, sometimes it's hard to keep up, right? I'm not trying to not respond. I actually have this set on top chat. I should have it set on all chat. But I'm only seeing what I'm seeing. I'm doing my best, guys. I'm doing my best. There's still a lot of echo in the right channel. Ever considered a back shield? Yeah, so okay, if there's more echo right now than normal, what I'll do is I'll just keep adding some sound paneling. I have some sound paneling over here, and so I actually have this as well. I have this thing trying to keep the sound from bouncing in, but I'll keep adding some sound proofing to improve the sound quality. Thoughts on Anarchy X? So the Anarchy X team approached me a long time ago, and they seem legit. I don't quite understand all aspects of the project yet, and I don't understand what the M Sports thing is. But it seems like, I'll be honest, I really liked the cyberpunk aspect of it. I'm like a big sucker for cyberpunk stuff. And so they had all these like 8-bit cyberpunk things. They're doing a lot with the gaming stuff. As you guys know, I have not one, but now I guess you could call it 3 different video games that will be, one is in closed beta, the others will be playable in January. We're releasing an onslaught of the highest quality video games, and I just know how hard that process is. So when I see people saying they're making games, I just kind of want to see how they're doing it first, because a lot of the times you see that games are being made. You know, like there was a game that just came out called Blankos on EOS, and they had like $30 million plus in investment, and the game it's cool visually for the first few minutes, but then there's really not a lot to it, and there's not like that compelling gameplay. And so, I've seen people spend a lot of money and not come out with a convincing or interesting game. And so I just like to see what the games are if you're going to really hitch your wagon to the game. You said the CEO pronounces DeFi as DeFi. Wait, DeFi. And IDK, if I can support that in good faith. Yeah, it's not DeFi. Yeah, Smart Credit is an interesting platform too. I've been keeping my eye on it, learning more. They're not the only one doing the things they're doing, but I had a chat with their team. I like to talk with teams, and they're definitely a smart team, but I'm not sure if they're uniquely positioned yet. I need to see how their V1.1 and 1.2 go. Thanks for all the info, bro. Oh yeah, I already read that one. All right, let me get to some more comments. Okay, I think I'm live now. Is new legit? Yeah, it's legit, but it just mooned. I don't go after projects that just mooned. Any thoughts on Polkastarter? Is it a good project? Are you bullish? I think it's a good project. I think they have to prove out a lot. I think they had like just amazing timing. Being a interoperable PokeSwap DEX that had a token while that was the hottest trending thing. And so, they're up really huge on their early investors. And so, there's a lot to be gained, but it's also really, really has gained a lot. And so I have high hopes for Polkastarter. But again, we have to just sort of see the proof in the pudding first. There's been a lot of FOMO, but a lot less sort of deliverables yet. Again, that's more of an issue with Polkadot not being ready. Thoughts on ZIFU, rumors of tier 1 listing? Yeah, I think they're going crazy right now. ZIFU, I kept hearing that they're mooning today. Not too crazy. I guess they were up a little higher. Let's see what this whole chart looks like. Yeah, so they're making a nice charge back to their previous highs. It looks like they're about 50. Yeah, they have about another 2x to get to their highs. I haven't dug too much into ZIFU. Let's see what they're up to. And sometimes I've looked at these web pages and then I haven't seen them in a month, and so I don't know, or 2 months. I'm not a master memory guy here. I sometimes need a little reminder. So everything a crypto trader needs: powerful trading platform. Yeah, all I can say is that this is cool, and it just looks like a lot of other things. Again, it's just more of a question of how can they build a user base. If they can build a user base, then it looks like it'll be solid, but it's hard to judge that right now. Second super chat, bud. Are you still bullish on HTR? Thanks for Joseph. Sorry about missing the super chats, guys. There's a lot more than normal, and I'm trying to, I guess, pay a little more attention to the super chats. HTR is really cool. I've been talking with the team. My feelings with HTR are that the tech seems good. The team seems good. The problem I can't get over is that I feel like they're building a little bit of a value island, and I feel like they're not necessarily, like what we learned from Polkadot is that the real hype is combining with the Ethereum ecosystem and trying to interoperate as much as possible. And HTR seems like they're a little bit trying to build their own world, and that just hasn't been successful in crypto so far. Now, who am I to say that they won't pioneer that model? I just would like to see ecosystems that are embracing Ethereum's position like Polkadot is. Like, look at how amazing Polkadot's been. They haven't sacrificed anything on their tech side, and they've been able to fully embrace Ethereum with open arms. And so I think that that's really the big key, is to embrace Ethereum as well as build your value. And so if I see the clear path there for HTR, I'd be more bullish, because there are some pretty interesting things they're doing behind the scenes, except the value island thing to me is a little bit worrisome. However, I've definitely considered getting a bag. I don't hold any right now. I don't hold any. Okay, let me catch up. Oh, wow, lots of super chats. Not sure if you answered or not. My internet went out. DeFi Dad did a tutorial on Power Index. Thoughts? I think this was the one that that Chico covered. Power Index, pool. I really don't know about this one. Smart DeFi Index. Okay, so this is this the same as the other index one? There's another index token. Oh, it was Index Cooperative that Chico covered. So again, yeah, there's going to be indexes, right? There's going to be indexes. You know, there's going to be indexes. And some of those might be a simpler way to invest. But I don't really have a strong opinion as to whether the index itself is going to be an amazing project. I've actually, if you guys want to know the truth, I've gotten approached by a bunch of people who have been trying to start funds and indexes and trying to wrap investments into a wrapper and deliver it as a product. And it's starting to become like the most common, people are coming to me as if this is a brand new idea, being like, oh, Elio, I've got this, I'm starting a fund. I've got all these people who are going to give me money, and then we'll get a fund together. And do you want to be a part of it? And I've kind of just steered clear of those for now because it's very experimental to me. And I just don't, I think in this altcoin market, it's just every project is its own beast. And to try to automate the altcoin trading is just not something I can get my head around just yet. So, do you have any thoughts on Horizon, formerly Zencash? I don't, but thank you for that super chat. Can you check out MUSE, third rank in top Ethereum games and microcap? So yeah, this one was, people were saying it was going to be the next meme. MUSE. Okay. So it's an NFT sort of game here. You do a lot of staking, getting rewards. Cool. Yeah. No opinion. I think all this stuff is cool. And I think it's all, tinkering. Again, I think that the NFTs having value and having utility is one of the main differentiators, right? And then you add all these sort of mechanisms and you can get something really compelling. But on their own, you saw what happened to meme. You look at MUSE, it's down heavy. And that's because there's just, beyond a little FOMO, there's nothing to keep it up. And that's why the utility of the NFT has to be there. It has to be there. And that's kind of how I see that space. What do I think of VeChain? Will it hit January 2022? I have no idea, David. I think it'll moon when all the other big alts moon. ICX has interoperability. Are you bullish on Icon? I used to be really bullish on Icon, but that was, those days have kind of gone. I'm going to pull my chat window over here. Aren't you on the board for Spice, Elio? I'm not on the board for Spice. I was talking with them. I considered doing it, and I ended up deciding against it because there was just various just sort of pragmatic things I couldn't get my head around. And I just, a lot of people contact me all the time saying, hey, we'd like to invest with you, Elio. Can you give us your picks, Elio? Can you trade for me, Elio? And I don't want to be doing any of those things. And I didn't want there to be a perception that I was doing those things because that's not the way that system worked. Even though I would have had some influence over it, I would not have been at the controls or really able to mitigate certain risk factors. And that those things pulled me away from doing it. Again, I hope you guys are seeing that I'm saying no to quite a bit of opportunities, financial opportunities, because I'm not sure how they'll impact the community. That's the main thing that I sort of prioritize is you guys, is when I'm not sure how it will affect you, I just say no, because that's just the easiest way to protect you guys, is just to not be associated. But it's a cool project, and I wish them the most success. I just didn't want to be a part of it. Please give a review on YFFS. I'll check it out. I'm not really big on the YF clones. I think they all kind of get a little too pumpy-dumpy for me. Thoughts on Casper Labs, Casper. And again, I apologize if it's a very unique project, YFFS. It's just they should have branded better. Casper Labs, I haven't heard about in years, but they were like this sort of Ethereum think tank for a while on scaling. But I haven't seen them in years and years. I definitely don't hold any. How long am I holding on to API3? A very long time, hopefully. I might take some profits if it goes like crazy. like several X's from here. I don't know. Maybe I'm a fool, but I'm hoping that this thing is super long-term. I'm hoping it's super long-term. After seeing this early performance, I'm optimistic that this thing could do, I'm optimistic that they have the capital, they have the resources, they have the technical know-how, they have the plan. Let's see if they can put it all together, right? Everything is a risk. Nothing is guaranteed. But, I'm going to be holding it. Again, if you guys are up 2x, 3x, there's no shame in protecting your capital, right? However, I'm going to be having a sort of long-term mindset here with API3. DIA TRB updates. I'm not sure. I'm betting on the Oracle space as a whole, right? The Oracle space as a whole is very, very interesting. You need oracles for DeFi. You need insurance for DeFi. These are things that go hand in hand with DeFi, and you need scaling for DeFi. So that kind of explains the Polkadot. That explains the Oracle space, and that explains the insurance space, in my opinion. Honesty is like Bitcoin. At the end, you reap rewards. Thank you, Franklin. Yeah, I hope so. That's been my goal, is just to, it's almost tricky when the channel gets this big, because it has its own sort of momentum when I cover things, and I can't control the variables, right? I can only just do my best to cover good things, to be transparent. If I ever do sponsors, stuff like that, which I am super explicit, probably more than anyone else. Actually, no, there's a bunch of really honest content creators out there, but I'm very explicit. I'm very transparent whenever I have any kind of, literal sponsorship. And I try to only even take sponsorships from the best projects. So, I say no to a lot, and I hope that is the right path. That's just that's my chosen path, right? YFFS is branded by David Gokhstein. Cool. I don't know who David Gokhstein is, but sounds like a cool person. I don't really know. Looked into Z Oracles, private ZK Snark Oracles, 4 million market cap. I will look into that. That looks actually pretty cool. There's a lot of really cool ZK Snark stuff going on, ZK rollups and stuff. Coin I am a fan of. I'm going to be diving into some coin stuff soon. They got so much coverage though in this initial cycle that, I felt like they were kind of saturated with coverage, but Coin is a solid project for sure. I missed your super chat on eForce Coin. They have an Apple co-founder. Interesting. Who's the Apple co-founder? Who is the Apple co-founder? Well, they're not showing up. They are not showing up. All right, guys. We've been on for an hour. We had some absolutely amazing times, I hope. Another super chat. Let me quickly see this. Could you comment on ETHY, please? I would have to pop it open and look a little closer. I apologize. But thank you for your super chat. I'll definitely look into it during the offline experience. Thank you guys so much. We had 1,800 viewers in this session. Absolutely mind-blowing. And to me, it means that we are once again growing in strength here. We are building again, and we may see another period of euphoria here in December. Now, I believe that this period of December euphoria will most likely be followed by a little bit of a reset, and I hope I'm wrong, but if I'm not, and if we do get this reset, just don't do what everyone else does. Not financial advice, my strategy. Don't turn your backs. Remember during September when I told you guys not to turn away? Well, if you look back at those September numbers, those October numbers, I believe almost all of the good projects, you'll look back and go, dang, I would have made money if I had just stuck around, right? And so there's a lot of malaise that kicks in, and people are so temperamental in crypto. So just try not to be a bandwagoner. Don't hop on the bandwagons. Make your strategies and continue to iterate on them over time. And do not get phased by the pullbacks. If you believe we're in a bull run, like I believe we're in a bull run, then this next pullback, I believe, might be the last chance to truly get your coins and get your positions, because, and that means that this euphoria phase in December would give you the chance to really build up a war chest, so that if we do get a big dagger correction, you would have the chance and you would have built up up the capital necessary to actually take advantage of that. And so with that in mind, I'll leave you guys with that. I do believe that we're coming into some pretty historic times. I believe that the bull run that we're coming into is going to change a lot of people's lives for the better. I believe that educating our representatives in Congress and donating to the organizations and the entities that are focusing on educating those representatives will keep us from steering into the mud as far as a regulatory situation. But for the most part, that we're seeing that the narratives around Bitcoin, crypto, the altcoins, DeFi, smart contracts, insurance, decentralization in general are starting to play out in this way that is truly beautiful. It's amazing to see, and I feel honored just to be here and to be a part of this space. I thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, if you guys want to follow me on Twitter or join my Telegram group, the links for both of those are in the description. They're having a little holiday sale over at Token Metrics. It's a cool analytics site, but it's only for serious traders as it's not a free product. It's somewhat of a premium product. And of course, you can get a discount if you sign up for crypto.com. You can spend these crypto gains like real money for the holiday season. I've been absolutely rinsing my crypto.com card, using it to go buy things for holiday gifts. And it's been actually a really, really smooth experience. So if you guys want a $25 sign up bonus for signing up for crypto.com, in the description of this video. As always, I thank you guys so much for watching. My name's